Hello and welcome to We Got Issues, the only comic book podcast brave enough to say that comics were better in my day. Hi, I'm Brian Compton, aka BComp, and joining me as always, the sunspot to my cannonball, Josh Markwood. How you doing, buddy?
Ooh, I'm Brazilian this week. Ooh, and super rich and
Yes, you are
funny.
Roberto da Costa, and
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
hick from the south.
yeah. There you go.
Oh
With like
shucks.
80,000 brothers and sisters that are all mutants.
It's really funny. There's a what if comic where it's literally like, what if Cannonball's brother adopted a Sentinel? I'm like, it's literally, what if Cannonball's brother adopted a Sentinel? I'm like, that's what constitutes a what if comic nowadays?
Was it
Okay.
also like? Didn't they do a series like that too,
I'm sure
or
they did.
something?
I'm sure they did. But
It was
anyway,
very much like it. And then, yeah. What Sunspot had like one of my favorite moments. I think it was in the swords, the X swords, like
oh, yeah,
one of
yeah,
the
yeah,
only bright
yeah.
spots, one of the only sunspots of the whole thing. But
Hey-ho.
he was like, they were watching like Magneto fight somebody, and he was with that one mutant who never loses,
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
and he
I
does like,
remember that.
I'll bet you something. It's like, all right, I bet you that Magneto's gonna lose, and she like. And her powers right away, just kind of like outsmarted her. I was like, oh, that was actually very smart.
Yeah, that book was great to the halfway point, and then the second half, I was like,
Yeah.
they're just handing out points willy-nilly. There's no, like, rules to the game that
Right.
really upset me because that was the first, like, drop off when the Krakoa X-Men stuff, like,
Yeah.
really made me upset. Other than that, I really liked it up to that point. Well, if you
Yeah,
can't
like
tell. Yeah, go ahead.
well, no, and then the when they had like 50 points for a wedding or something, it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
we're not
like I said, the
getting like
rules
at
made no
first it
sense.
was point system. It was weird.
Yeah, it would have been worked best if it was like there's 9 combatants and there or 9 battles, and whoever gets 5 of 4 wins, but it was,
Yeah.
"No, we're gonna hand out willy-nilly points. Who can drink more and who can do this more?" And it was just like so it was like
Right.
it's 1,000 to 2,000. It made no sense, but
Like
I
the more
digress.
traditional part, the more like traditional or just more, I guess not traditional, but like something that would have been more like just more typical, I would say, like,
Yeah.
typical way of doing the story was
Yeah,
actually
just it
better this
just
time, not
just like
something yeah, out of the way.
do the do the battle world stuff, like but
Yeah,
or the contest of champions or whatever, any number of ways they could have done that, but, yeah, it
right.
kinda fell flat.
Except the right or wrong way that they did. But
Exactly.
and then
Well.
speaking of X-Men, right? Because now we have to actually talk about the show because a lot of people just don't like people just digressing
Yammering?
the whole time before you even start.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're speaking of the X-Men. Like this episode, we are sharpening our claws as we slice and dice our way into one of Brian. That's amazing writing. First of all, by slice and dice our way into the origins of everyone's favorite mutant, Wolverine.
Heyo.
Hey, Wolverine. Specifically, we're talking about the 1991 story Weapon X, and we have some thoughts, and we're going through that. But before we can even get started on that, guess what time it is, Brian?
I'm gonna say it's clobbering time. No, no,
Oh,
whoa,
so
whoa,
close.
so close, so close. I biffed that. Sponsor time. Damn it. I would have gotten that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay. It's not like it was written down.
but it wasn't.
Uh,
Well, you didn't even say the line before we can cut our way through this book, keeping with the slice and
excuse me.
dice theme yeah, come on, man.
Sorry,
I
I thought
spent
just that there's enough puns in that one sentence. I thought I was just kind of
I
saying.
spent seconds, and I mean
Yeah,
literal seconds
there's
writing that.
dozens of them.
Yes, if you're looking for the best treats this side of this side of
I don't
this
know
side
if
of
the
Krakoa,
yeah, there you
you
go.
need to check out Duff and Shaw Snacks. World famous snacks at that. From wild cherry dogman gummies to Bigfoot's smoky kettle crunch, these snacks and candies have been curated from the most mysterious and undiscovered places on planet Earth. Head on over to duffandshaw.com/issues today and check out all they've got more. Again, that's duffandshaw.com/issues. And with Christmas and the holidays and Hanukkah and all
I was
that
about to
coming up,
say
yeah, now is the time to get some
these are
snacks and
perfect
help out.
stocking
Yeah,
stuffers.
yeah, help out your favorite podcast for the 13 of you that are listening.
Dozens of us.
So I just want to give a quick shout out to my wife. If you haven't figured it out right now, with all these dad jokes that I do, I am a dad and I have a wife and I have a son. And I recently had a daughter who my wife suggested we name Logan. And I was like Logan, Logan, Logan. She's like, yeah, like Logan Wolverine. No,
Oh wow.
my wife's not a comic book person at all. Like, she's like, "It's cool, but that's not my thing. It is mine." So, I wanted to give a shout out to my wife and say, "Hey, we're gonna do an episode based on my daughter's name, Logan." And, so what do you think, Josh? Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah, no, I think Lauren's more of a Hugh Jackman fan, and so that's why she wanted to
Yeah,
name
that
him
might be true.
Logan, just like
That
another
might be
way.
true. Hey,
But
there you go. I'll allow it.
hey, I'll allow it. But yeah, I think this is a character who's I think has one of the most richest backstories, but like mysterious backstories in a lot of like Marvel comics because there's a reason why he's so popular. Whether you like it or not, he's one of the most popular
I
um
absolutely.
characters. Like
He's
he's
easily the most popular X-Man.
right. I mean, he's I would say like probably like the non-usual big three of Marvel. Because usually when you think of like the big three of Marvel, it's like it's Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. But I mean, if you look
I
at
would
numbers and you look at everything, you'd probably be like Spider-Man, Wolverine, and I don't know, maybe I don't even know who the third one is
I would
at that
argue, even
moment.
to that point, I would say he's the top 5 of superheroes. I'd say you got Spidey, Supes, Bats, Wonder Woman's, and then I'd say Wolverine's in that top 5. Like,
Yeah,
in just my opinion. I mean, he's iconic. Everyone knows the dude with the 3 claws, right? I mean, that'd
right.
be my take.
Snicked.
Snick. Yes.
And I mean there's a reason why all pretty much all the X-Men movies except for, the First Class or Apocalypse are you can argue it's pretty much a Wolverine movie.
Yes. That is absolutely true. And even he has cameos in those ones too, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, but even like what Days of Future Past, that was more of like a Wolverine movie than it
That
was
was
an
not a
X-Men
Kitty Pryde.
movie.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Should have been a Kitty Pryde movie.
Hey, there's
The hood.
semantics. We're going to start with one of the first books to explore his origins, the Weapon X story. And now I think there's a blurb in the back, Brian,
Very small.
that
Very
you can
small.
read. Yeah, it's very small because this is honestly too like when we get into it, you'll realize this is kind of a smaller story, like but throughout like 12 issues, but they go by so fast. But like this blurb in the back. Now, Brian, do you want to read that for us?
I'll make it quick. Mutant, monster, or machine, abducted, dehumanized, and stripped to his core, excuse me. Wolverine is reduced to a weapon of mass destruction in the legendary writer artist Barry Windsor Smith's classic saga. There you go.
And
That's
there we
it.
go. Nice. Now, this was originally printed in issue 72 through 84. The anthology book Marvel Comics Presents. The Weapon X story was published between the months of January and July in about 1991.
Hmm.
And this was the origin of how Logan got his adamantium skeleton and claws. Like it seems like everybody kind of knows the story of Wolverine, and this is like the actual story.
Yes. I gotta ask you, Josh, what was your experience with this book? Did you read it in trade, singles, digital, recently, or when it first came, back in
So
1991?
so my history with this was so a couple weeks ago we said that we're going to cover the story in the podcast, and that is when I actually read it. But I mean, I
But you knew
knew
the broad strokes,
I
right?
knew the story. I knew the
Yeah.
look of, there's been so many different versions of this story
Yeah.
of the Wolverine thing. And then I knew the iconic look of, the his Weapon X look
Yeah.
and everything and stuff. So I knew of it and I knew
Yeah.
the details of it. I knew, the cast of characters that are involved.
Yeah.
But I never actually like read the story.
Okay.
I
Okay.
I didn't I honestly I don't even think I knew it was an actual like story. I thought it was just all flashbacks type of thing. So
Interesting.
so this was my cannonball jump in
Okay.
to this deep deep the deep end of the Wolverine origin.
Are you a Wolverine guy to begin with?
I am. I think And I've been a fan of Wolverine. I mean, if you're a fan of the X-Men, you're gonna be a fan of Wolverine. It just sometimes he gets a little bit oversaturated.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think kind of like
100%.
what's happening, like when it's the Harley Quinn syndrome, it's the Deadpool syndrome. Like when he's getting involved in things that have nothing to do with him, you're like,
Yeah,
is he? Does it make sense that Wolverine's in this right now?
yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. But like, what
Well,
was it? That old? It was not like it was like a couple years ago or a few years ago when they're revamping the X-Men. Like Cyclops just did just told everybody what team they're on and stuff. Everybody's kind of they're arguing with him, and you see Wolverine. He's just like, dude, I love you, but am I have to be in every team?
yeah,
Like, why? So it's kind of like that a little bit.
yeah. Were you a fan of him? We're off topic again, but
No, it's fine. It's
we're
still
talking Wolverine.
Wolverine's topic.
Were you a fan of him becoming an Avenger, or did you prefer when he was just like an
I
X-Men or
was
maybe a
with it.
Secret Defender? Okay, okay.
No, I was with it. I was like, what? Like, this is a great, new team. Like I was happy to see how Wolverine was going to be on this Avengers team with, Cyclops. No, it's
Spidey,
like,
Cap,
sorry,
Spider Woman. Yeah,
Spidey,
Spidey,
Captain
Spidey
America.
Woman, Luke
Yeah,
Cage, Sentry, all those cats.
yeah, I was with it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Okay. Okay. Well, just in case, let's set up our audience just in case they don't know
Well, what
who
did you think
Wolverine.
about it? What
Oh,
about you? What about
oh,
your
this.
thoughts on Wolverine?
Oh, I remember this book. I was in middle school at the time, and I remember some of the cooler kids that had the cooler older brothers that had these comics. And I remember they would bring them into homeroom, and we'd be like pouring over. It's oh my god, this thing is like 'cause you kind of see almost nudity in the book. Like I said, it was very
Oh yeah,
bloody.
you see a butt.
Yeah, exactly. So I remember, like, even, like, I think it was, like, 6th grade or something like that. I was like, "Oh my god, this is, like, this crazy," so I remember seeing it back then. I probably didn't read it until much, much later. It was almost like one of those things it's like I think I read it through osmosis, but did I when I finally sat down and read it, it was probably about, 2009, 2010 when I got the trade of it actually. But I had seen so much of it, like, kind of to your point, it's like, oh, and all in flashback within the Uncanny X-Men or in Wolverine solo books and through Wizard magazine that by the time I read it, I'm like, oh, I feel like I've read this before. It's like a movie you've seen, but like on cable, but you don't remember seeing it when you actually sit down to watch it on Blu-ray or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of my take on it. I've actually only just started trying to find those issues. And I've got my first one of the 13 issues that are total, but they're going to be
Oh,
pricey, so I'm only going to pick them up if I can find them cheap. Anyway,
yeah.
that all said.
But I mean, and speaking of that too, like the Marvel Comics Presents, that was basically a Wolverine book,
Well, I'll
right? When
get
I was
into
looking
that.
through it.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
say we'll
yeah.
save that. I've got a whole
Oh,
breakdown on
okay,
that.
okay,
So,
okay. All right, but
but like as I was saying though, for those of you who may not or may have the barest knowledge of Wolverine, do you want to kind of give them a little refresher on them?
yeah, I mean, a lot of people kind of at least have heard of Wolverine. I mean,
Yeah,
at the very least because of the movies, but
yeah,
just kind of the stuff that kind of led up to the story of Weapon X. Wolverine is a member of the mutant team that we all know and love, the
yeah.
X-Men. In Marvel Comics, he's known for his sharp claws, and it's made out of adamantium, which is like the hardest metal,
Yeah,
one
the
of the hardest
unbreakable metal.
metals.
Yeah,
It's an unbreakable metal, so like his claws are super sharp and cannot be dulled or anything like. So he can basically cut through anything, almost anything. I mean, basically like except for Cap
Cap
shield, but
shield.
and that metal actually covers his entire skeleton, so making his skeleton unbreakable as well, and that due to his healing factor,
Mhm.
and that he becomes like he's like kind of like the ultimate kind of weapon in a sense, and they kind of delve into the Weapon X, but um he's pretty much unstoppable because his healing factor is so good, and
Yeah,
his skeleton is unbreakable. So he's very, very, very hard to kill. Like there's maybe one thing that's known of that could really kill him. And
a Sentinel
with
blast from the future that removes his skin. No,
not even that, I guess. Yeah, not even that. Not
not even
even what
alternate
we talked
future.
about it last episode, like
Yeah, exactly. So a
the
single
the
blood
Nietzsche.
cell brought him back to life.
Right, he has the Lobo type thing, but even like the Nitro that blew him up to
Yeah.
just a skeleton, he came back from that. But with the adamantium though, like, and his killer instinct and stuff is um a huge part of his backstory and history is there's a surprisingly lack of knowledge about it. It's been shrouded in mystery. Basically, when you meet him and when you know about him, it's like it's from Weapon X on or after Weapon X.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you
Exactly.
haven't really known before
Yeah. It
uh
was.
how Weapon
Yeah.
X.
Yeah. It was Incredible Hulk 181. It's basically 180 was the cameo, but 181 is his first appearance. We got to release Weapon X to fight the Hulk, and it's like that's
Right.
kind of that's his first appearance. Yeah.
And it's the Canadian government too because of the Hulk, which a lot of people don't realize that Wolverine's first issue was the Hulk. In the Hulk, I mean. And now as readers though, we would get like only glimpses and like like inter sorry, this to his past, like as like Logan's own memories were kind of like taken from him because he either like through like psychic manipulation or what was it in Origins, like it was a adamantium bullet. Also
Well,
that was great.
they literally did like if you there's a sequel to this, and in it he gets into like a studio, and there's like sound stages where they created
Hmm.
false memories, and they implanted them in his head and stuff like that. Yeah, it's crazy, like how much like we did not know. Like that was kind of like part of his history was not knowing his history. Like part of his backstory was not knowing his backstory. And like there was so much, like you just said, like psychic manipulation or implanted memories that like we're constantly juggling when we were in the at least in the 80s and the 90s. Like one of the big mysteries is Sabretooth Logan's father. Like that was something Chris Claremont was pushing for years, and they eventually
Huh.
did away with that. Like, how did he get his adamantium? What's up with the claws? Like I remember like there's an issue of like what if, I think it's number 62. I think it's like what if Logan battled Weapon X? And in it, like in the book, like Logan doesn't get abducted by Department H or Department K or whatever the hell it is, and they abduct some other dude. And when they're injecting the adamantium, like, oh, there's a buildup of adamantium in his arms. I'm like, oh, that's right. So like he didn't have regular claws. These were like, it was like it was an accident. It was like this whole like
Mm.
thing just because a what if said it. I mean, the other thing too is like, he shows up and he fights with Captain America during World War II. So like, how old is this guy? You know what I mean? Like there was so much
Yeah.
mystery around it. And a lot of people, it's funny, like, I see a lot of comparisons between Wolverine and Boba Fett. Like, the more we learned about it, the less it took that mystery away and the less it made him cool, if that makes sense?
Yeah, because that was a big part of his character and why he is who
Yeah.
he is. Like the lone Ronin without a backstory, without a history.
Well, and there's a history he didn't even know. That was the thing too. It'd be one thing if like, "Oh, I'm just not gonna tell you where I'm from." It's like, dude, I don't know. Like, parents could be alive, they could be dead. I don't know. It's like it could be an implant, it could be real, it could be a dream, it could be psychic manipulation. Like he just did not know?
Yeah, and then when he got those memories all came back though, right? Like the end of
Yes.
House of M.
House of M. So, like, we get the origin of Wolverine in the book Wolverine Origin. There's like
Yeah,
there's Origin, Origin 2, and then there's Wolverine Origin, the ongoing series. But that came out, yeah, House of M when Scarlet Witch does the, snap, no more
yeah, that's
mutants,
Snap Number Mutants.
basically.
Yeah,
You know, um, at the end of it, he gets all of his memories returned to him. And so that was that. You know what I mean?
yeah. You kind of Then that's like we said. We got all that origin stuff, and um, but like the origin of that origin, or of the origin of revealing his history or something. I don't know. I was
Yeah.
trying to transition, but it kind of began to change with the story entitled Weapon X, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This was like the
yeah,
first time we actually got like a definitive, answer. Sorry.
no, you're right, and then and then that's kind of like what they rolled on to like the miniseries, of Origin, and um later in 2001. But now Weapon X specifically, like we said, is the story about how he got his adamantium and like how did this all you know come come together. So like let's kind of go a little bit back and we'll take a couple of steps back. Now what's like the we kind of was kind of talking about it where you have much more of like a knowledge of this one. So what's like what's kind of like the history of this like Marvel Comics presents?
Yeah, so yeah, like we said, the issues were 72 through 84 that kind of reveal this thing. It was in a book called Marvel Comics Presents, which was like an anthology book that Marvel did in the late 80s, early 90s, where basically they were these there were like 4 8-page stories that would go it was bi-weekly. And so the point of the book was, ironically enough, it's like they were like, we need, like, I think it was Terry Kavanaugh or Tom DeFalco. They're like, we need a way to help young writers become better writers. But the thing is, they're like, no one's going to buy a book from an unknown talent. But what if we do an anthology book where we put like, hey, Chris Claremont's going to write a Wolverine story right here, and then the backup story is going to be some guy named I don't know, Ed Brubaker, and he's going to do a Scarlet Witch story. It's like, it was an easy way to like, hey, we can do two things. We can do two things at once. We can have like a not only can we shepherd new talent through here and get them to learn the process and can learn how the whole everything works, we can also, and this is the other part of what this book was really important for, is a lot of these comic characters, like, they have to be put into print every once in a while. So you have to put their like name in the headline, or else they lose the trademark or they lose the copyright. So like, hey, you remember, I think, when you remember Contest of Champions, Josh, there was that one
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Irish hero Shamrock or whatever. Like,
Right,
well,
right.
this is the perfect place. Like, Shamrock's going to get a little backup story written by, this guy named Warren Ellis. Cool. All right, great. So it was like you killed two birds with one stone. What
Mhm.
they also found was like, hey, this is a great place. Not only are we getting young talent to like cut their chops, not only are we getting like books that normally no one's going to buy, a Shamrock book, but we can keep the trademark alive by jumping in this book. This is also a place where they could grab old talent who had left Marvel and like, hey, why don't you come over to this book? It's a little bit more adult focused more. And why don't you do this? So they were able to pull people like Doug Mensch, who had done like Shang-Chi. They were able to pull like Steve Gerber back. They were able to do, Don McGregor was able to do like, Black Panther again. And again, like I said, they were able to do stories that were much more adult. Like the McGregor story is a very infamous story, not infamous, very famous story about Black Panther tackling the apartheid, which would never happen in an actual Black Panther book. You know what I mean? But this was a place where they could actually do these like realistic stories. So that was the thing. And on top of that, what they would do though is make sure that they still had readers reading them, is they would usually headline the book with an A-list character. Usually, like you just said, Josh, a Wolverine of some sort, or a Colossus, or a Cyclops, or an X-Men, that they knew would sell the book, or a Venom, or a Ghost Rider. And then the other three backup 8-page backups would be whatever. You know what I mean? Does that make all that sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like when I was like looking for the specific issues, I just was noticing there was a lot of Wolverine
Mhm, mhm.
before and after. Like
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
other than the story Weapon X, but I mean it was like right after it's like Wolverine and Nightcrawler
Yep.
story
There
and
was like
stuff with
yeah, there was
different
oh, yeah,
artists.
I actually have all those issues,
Wow.
ironically. Sam Keith did the covers on those, and, Sam Keith is, again, a great name in comics. So all this eventually leads up to enter Barry Windsor Smith. Who's Barry Windsor Smith, though?
Yeah,
Are you
like
a Barry
you've been telling me he's like one of the like the goats, and I agree. Like he's what is he, what's this thing like he's a British artist, right? But
Mhm, yes.
what's he really like known for? Like mostly his artwork, though, right?
Yes, he's known for his artwork. When he started off, he was very reminiscent of Jack Kirby, but as his style developed, it became very, like, influenced by, like, the romantic, illustration era of the 1800s. It's very organic, it's very soft, like, with a naturalistic look. You see a lot of that, and then probably the other book he's most famous for is Conan. Conan the Barbarian, which he had, did with Roy Thomas. He had gotten his start actually in basically at Marvel Comics. He did a couple fill-in issues of Avengers, a couple like Iron Mans and Daredevils here and there. But eventually he found that groove with Conan, and you see like within like the first 12 issues of that, like his the first issue to like the 12 issues, like, oh, you see him become Barry Windsor Smith, which is ironic because he just went by Barry Smith at the time. So Barry Windsor
Oh,
Smith
he
wouldn't have
added the
to.
Windsor. He got you.
Yeah, he
So when
did.
he's getting more like
Yeah,
romantic illustration, he had to add in the
exactly.
Windsor.
Well, I
Uh,
think it was his mom's middle name, or his mom's name.
oh, nice.
Yeah, so he basically stays on Conan for about 24 issues before, and he kind of bounces around Marvel for a little bit, and then he just kind of like drops out of comics in the late 70s or the mid 70s, like, I'm done for a bit, and he goes on to do fine art, and he's just out for a while. And then around like 1983, he's like, you know what? I kind of miss comics. I'm going to come back to that. So he comes back and he does like a couple of, you'll see him. He does like, he did a couple stories in X-Men called like Life Death. And it's about like, Storm and Forge. And then he does a couple issues of Daredevil and all that. He did the Machine Man miniseries. And so, he did a couple covers. And this eventually all leads to Marvel Comics Presents. So in 1991, the editor at the time was Terry Cavanaugh. He reached out to Barry Windsor Smith and says, "Hey, we're doing, we got this anthology book. It's eight page stories. Would you be interested in just doing one for us, just like an 8 pager? Because whatever." And he's like, "No, I'm not interested in that. But this 8 page format sounds really cool." He goes home and he literally illustrates like 5 to 6 pages of this Weapon X story and brings it back to Kavanaugh. I was like, "Here's what I want to do. I want to do this Weapon X story. This is not something Kavanaugh pitched or something Kavanaugh asked for. The dude just did it on his own. It was like, I'm going to go do this story right here." And they're just like, "This is gorgeous. Like, you want to do it in this?" And he's like, "Yeah, I love this 8 page format. I think it's really testing my abilities. It's going to cut out all the fat of a graphic novel and just really tell me in concentrated chunks the story." And they're just like, "All right, cool. We're not going to turn down your work, man." And it was so good that like when they started like getting ready to print the issue, like the head of like Marvel, I want to say marketing or something like that, saw like, "Why are we releasing it in a crappy anthology book? This needs to get its own like graphic novel." And luckily, Kavanaugh had like went to bat. He's like, "No, the only way he wants to do this is if we do this 8 page format." Like he's really set on that. And they kind of fought for a while, and eventually they were like, "Okay, here's how we're gonna do it. He's gonna do it in the anthology, and as soon as it's done, we're rushing this to trade." And they're like, "Great, fine, done, get it out." You
That
know?
was good. That was good that he stuck to his guns and they found like
Yeah,
that, at least that
yeah.
medium. Because usually I don't think that would happen now.
Mm-mm,
Like,
mm-mm,
I don't
mm-mm.
think that would fly now in a sense of like it. Think of it as like him doing that as just like a Marvel,
Yeah,
like a web comic type of thing. Like it was
yeah,
only on the Unlimited app or something. And
yeah,
both in and it's both pivotal like in art and then the history of Marvel. These
yeah.
8 page anthology stories, which like yeah, like you're saying, it's usually would be like a big graphic novel or at least, full issues. Like it's its own miniseries basically.
Well, it's funny, like, I was reading an interview with Kavanaugh, and he was talking about it. He's like, "Yeah, when I went into the office and was fighting DeFalco over it," he's like, "You've told me that but basically I have to have a Wolverine story in here in every issue." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But I can't have this one." "No, because it's too good." So he's like, "So you're saying if the story is too good, it can't be in here? I can only have basically crappy Wolverine stories for this
Yeah.
book?"
Yeah.
And DeFalco just, like, stared at him for, like, a full minute. Like, in the interview, he's like, stared at me for a full minute. He's like, "Fine, do it."
Right. It's like you hear like he had like probably just in this internal battle within
Yeah,
himself
like
and then
yeah. Well,
it's the artist or the money.
yeah, well, it's funny too because, like, those issues, like, they shot up. They were in the top 5 of I don't know if it was the top 5 of comics that year or that month but I know they were in the top 5 of at least Marvel Comics for, what was released. Like, it was like Instagram was like I said, even I remember as a kid, like, I was like, "Oh my god, these are amazing." You know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing that. I don't even know what the other backup stories. I think it was like an Iron Man fights a demon in one of the
Oh well.
backups. Like,
Oh,
no one
God.
cares. It just got
Yeah, we're
lost.
getting the origin that everybody was a big mystery, and I don't care about Iron Man fighting a demon for probably the third time.
Yeah. It's funny too because like Windsor Smith when he was doing it, he's like, if I had known like it would have been billed, it's like the origin. He's like, I wouldn't have done it. He's like, I
Mm.
didn't want to step on Claremont's toes or anybody else who was doing the books at the time. I just thought I was just telling the story of adamantium. You know what I mean? Like that's just how the adamantium got on his bones. And he was like, if I had known even at all, I would have backed off. And like, what are you talking about, man?
I, what you see, I also imagine if Claremont did do that, like you would find some way to get Rachel Summers or
No,
Psylocke or somebody
well,
in it for whatever reason.
Well, 2 points to that. Number 1, here's an interesting little tidbit. First off, Windsor Smith's first work on Avengers was Avengers 66, I think 66 and 67. That's the first appearance of adamantium is in Avengers
Mm,
66. So it's kinda weird, like, he's kinda tied to adamantium, ironically enough.
yeah.
And number 2, he did consult with Claremont actually about this thing, and he was like, "Hey," and we'll get to it in a second, but essentially it was like, "Who's the big bad behind all of this?" because he's like, we're not going to reveal it, but I want, he's like, Claremont's like, I want a big bad. And so there was like a mysterious figure behind the scenes.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Claremont got a Claremont. Guess who it was? It was Apocalypse.
Oh, it
Apparently,
was. Oh, okay.
yeah. In Claremont's mind, that didn't end up happening. It ended up, Jeff Loeb took care of that for us. Unfortunately, this is one of those times where I'm going to be like, Claremont would have been what they should have done Claremont's idea, but 'cause
Like it
all
was,
the
yeah, Apocalypse. I think it would have been better maybe if Sinister makes more
it would
sense.
have there was some sinister connection, but it was better than
Like they were
Romulus.
trying to do that in the movies. Like the
Yeah,
movies,
yeah.
they're trying to do that, and it made some more sense.
Well, and I think they do tie it into Sinister a little bit. I think like there's like a backstory where like Gambit actually broke into the Weapon X facility while it was all going on and stole a diary of Mr. Sinister. It
Oh,
whatever.
gotcha. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
Sinister is inherently
yeah,
connected to Apocalypse anyway, so I
yeah,
think kind of
exactly.
in a way, but but we're talking about like you were saying he didn't know it was kind of the origin. It's kind of like the it wasn't hyped in the book at all, right? Like the whole history
Literally,
of it.
yeah, literally in issue 71, it's like, oh, and by the way, next issue we're gonna do the same with Wolverine. It was like almost like it was such a like, oh, and be sure to tune in next issue. It like wasn't like because like this was a big deal, and like Marvel knew it
Yeah.
was a big deal, and they kind of like I don't say drop the ball, but they should have been like hyping this through all the books, the origin of Wolverine, because they were kind of doing that. But literally in Marvel Comics Presents 71 was like, oh, and Wolverine gets his adamantium in the next issue. Cool, see ya. It was like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Peace.
What?
Goodbye.
What?
Yeah, this knowledge grenade. Hey, we're gonna talk about the origin of Wolverine. So far that you haven't known. Bye bye.
Like you kind of brought up. So there's an interesting thing about Barry Windsor Smith, and this is the thing: is like he did almost every single aspect of this story. He wrote it, he did the layout, he did the art, he inked it, he colored it, and he did some of the lettering as well. Like the only other person that came in was someone who did some of the lettering, but you can see where his lettering came into play. In fact, there's panels where like dialogue bubbles are overlapping on another dialogue bubble. You can
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
yeah, that was like his some of his contributions to the book. And it's really cool
Hmm,
because you can still see what's being said, but you're like it creates that overlapping conversation, which was just really
right.
neat. I thought it was a really cool thing to do with lettering.
Yeah, I thought it was a good way to show, like the people interrupting or talking over somebody like that. Like it was a good
Kind
visual
of like this podcast. Oh,
representation of that.
sorry.
Yeah, like you just did right now. No.
Son of a
Uh no, I like that, and just kind of this shows the in a way the arrogance of the characters who are doing that too. So I really like that. And yeah, this is another episode of somebody, like the writer doing a whole lot, for the story, like how Keith Giffen was
Mhm.
uh,
Yes.
a workhorse too. So I mean,
Yeah.
we call it like the workhorse trilogy or something. We have to find another book after this to talk about
Oh,
that.
I'm sure we can find one. I'm sure we can find one.
Yeah, and like his Conan stuff though, I would imagine too. Like this is kind of a brutal book, right? Like has it leaned into a lot of like the body horror and stuff.
Yeah, this is like a horror book in many ways. Like you said, like there's all the body horror stuff with just Logan himself getting injected with this adamantium and
Yeah,
the blood and the claws and all the crap coming out. And plus, it's also like a slasher film. You know what I mean? Like a slash because like at the end, like he's straight up just like stalking them through this facility. It's like, oh
yeah, like
god,
nonstop. Yeah, like you were
yeah,
saying, like he has like his senses. It's because if like Wolverine too, like one of his other powers is like his super
hmm
senses, and so like yeah, he can find you for wherever you go, type of thing, and what nothing can stop him because all those claws can cut through everything. And yeah, that was pretty crazy. And like I think the way that Windsor Smith, like his art in it was also very like kind of like made it more creepy with the it was like a if this makes sense now, and if it doesn't, let me know. But it's like a dark neon, like the coloring and stuff. Where like it was very dark, but also very colorful. And then I think because like the very hard inks
Well, and
in
I was
there,
gonna
and
say
like
not only just
the
that, but it's because
so
remember we've talked about this before with like both what is it? I think Batman Year One and even maybe a little
yeah,
bit of some of the other books. So it's like remember the coloring process back then was like you get basically 64 colors that and so you had to kind of color in those very contrasty colors to make it pop, you know?
hmm
And we saw that with Batman Year One, where it's like it's also gonna be printed on newsprint, so it's gonna change how the color looks when it's on that like grayish, brownish paper. And so you're right, though. I think that that coloring really is very stark. With it. I think you said just like neon noir infused is
Yeah.
really a good way to
It's
look at it.
it's yeah. It was a very like a Blade Runner feel to
Yes.
it. Like the way the
Yes, that's
technology too.
yes, that's a great way to look at it.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
No, no, because it again,
No,
it's
so
that
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
just
fine.
thought of it. That's why I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you know what? I did something good today."
Another interesting thing, and talking about like lettering and narration is like it's funny, like the prologue issue I believe 72, it's Logan narrating it. And then after that, he only said besides some dialogue where he's like, "Bane, oh, I'm Logan, I'm not
Yeah.
an animal." Outside of some dialogue like that, like you don't hear any other narration except for one scene when he's like making a break for it. He's like, "I've got to get the hell out of here. My feet are on fire." So something like
Yeah.
that, like the fire is just other than that, the only narration comes from first person perspective of the other three characters in the book. And speaking of that, let's talk about those characters. Josh.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll start with like the head honcho of the whole thing. And he's only known as the professor.
Yeah.
And like he's the head of the Weapon X project, and he's responsible for. I mean, of course, the Weapon X project is responsible for lacing Logan's skeleton with adamantium. And this guy is like very manipulative. He's cold.
Yes.
He's very just. He's kind of just a jerk.
Yes.
He's an
He's
evil
evil.
jerk.
He's an evil
Um,
jerk. Professor
and
Xavier's a jerk.
yeah, exactly. And speaking of like, he's has like physically a lot of similarities
Yeah.
to Professor X, except one very important one.
What's
He's
that?
walking. He's walking.
Well,
Ho. Um.
it's funny you should say that because, Kavanaugh had to reassure the ex editorial office. It's like, no, it's not going to be Professor Xavier when he was younger. And turns out he's behind it all, because like it's a thin looking bald guy who's called Professor. He's like, no, it's just a coincidence, just a coincidence. It has nothing to do with that. Then like Windsor Smith's like, oh, I'm just saying, like, look, they look the same. Huh? What a coincidence. I didn't see that coming,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, weird. That's so weird how inevitably that happened. But and then like we were saying too, like initially you're supposed to be the head honcho, like the one in charge, but later you kind of see that he's answering to someone or some group,
Yeah.
and turns out it could have been Apocalypse, could have been, who knows. I mean, I think a lot of it has changed to like who it is, but like I didn't read Jeff Loeb's stuff, the origin stuff, so you'll have
Dude.
to tell me
Can I
who
just
that
tell you
is.
right
But
now? Okay. Can I
yeah,
tell you right now how bad so it's
was it Romulus
this guy
or
named
whatever?
Romulus. Yeah, and, like,
Uh,
apparently it was, like, this, like he's the leader of these, like because apparently Wolverine is, a dark-haired essentially a
right.
dark-haired mutated evolved Wolverine, and the other light-skinned, the lupines are these, like, the light-skinned evolved, like, is the dumbest thing.
Yeah,
Basically,
it's
they're
so
not
bad.
mutants, they're literally mutated animals that look human, and it's like and there's been this ageless battle that's been going on decades and centuries over the years. It's like it's so dumb. It's so dumb to the point where, like
It's yeah.
yeah, like, almost every single comic fan, like, refuses to acknowledge that it exists, It's just like, let's just forget that.
It was kind of like a weird way to explain why Sabretooth hates
Yeah.
Wolverine when inevitably it's just like the simple answer is better. So he's just crazy. Like, why
Yeah.
can't that be the answer?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be some
Or
weird ancestral evolution.
I just don't like you. You annoy me.
Right.
There's been plenty of people I've known, I'm like, "I don't like that person. I don't know why, they just
Right.
piss me
And
off." Like
yeah, when you're a psychomaniac, you just want to kill them or kill
yeah.
whatever person he's in love with on his birthday to remind him
Yes.
how much you hate him. Uh, but
Which is
also, I
ironic is
mean,
like I was gonna say in other timelines, they're buddies.
right? Yeah. Even before that, like when it all started with the Weapon X program,
Yeah, Team X,
um,
yeah, yeah.
Team X. But also, I mean, there's been other books or stories where it's like Stryker is the government
Yeah,
head of who's
yeah.
the military part
Weapon X.
of
Yeah, the
Weapon
Weapon X
X that
program.
is in charge of it. So like that could be made as an argument that he's talking to Stryker.
I mean,
You saw in the
that
movies too.
I think they should just retcon that. Like, you look, sometimes we make bad decisions, and one of one of the best ones I bring up as an example is like, for example, when they aged up Psylor or Nathan Franklin Richards,
Yeah,
Reed Richards' kid, to be an adult basically, and he became Psylord. This sort of like, and it's like that was dumb. Let's just de-age him and bring him back to being a kid again. It's like, you just, hey, we make mistakes. Like, you can do that. Hey, DC, you can still do that with Jonathan Kent. You can still
yeah,
de-age
exactly.
him
Please do it.
and make him Damien's age and just give us the Super Sons back. Just saying you can do that. Um, but off topic. What other characters do we have in this book, Josh?
Yeah, is there's and with thankfully kind of there's not that much more, which is great because you have
Yeah.
also Doctor Cornelius.
Yeah.
Doctor Cornelius, the sounds like a Clue character.
I was saying that or Planet of the Apes.
That too, yeah. Yeah, but he's the scientist. He's the actual scientist in charge of the bonding process, and he's really driven by his curiosity. And he seems
Mhm.
to he's a little bit more. He has a little bit more like morality than the professor.
Mhm.
But I mean, also, I mean, he still does the horrific stuff to Logan in the name of science. So
He literally gets
he
talking to him. He's like,
can't
"Yeah,
just
I know
push
you're
that.
gonna quit, but what if I let you do even more heinous shit to him?"
Right.
Oh
It's like,
shit! All right, might as well. Okay, that's
yeah,
literally what happens.
yeah.
He's like,
Like
"But
he
what if I let you do more stuff?" All right, you got me.
First you had my curiosity, but now you got my
I get my
attention, or
attention.
vice versa, or
Yeah,
whatever.
whatever it is.
Um, and then also there was the Hines, the assistant to Dr. Cornelius. Definitely more sympathetic of the three, but
Yeah,
still doing. She was like more
still,
of like the computer programmer, basically.
yeah. But she still does the heinous shit too. Like, oh, I think this is what
Yeah,
we're doing.
nobody here.
Yeah,
There's no redeeming character in this whole thing. Like
I
maybe
love that she's like,
Logan because he's
yeah,
forced to do
because he's
stuff,
the
but
victim. He's a victim.
yeah,
Well, it's literally, I think she, at one point she's like, I think what we're doing is bad. Let me go ahead and inject him.
yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Please, let me start the program that makes him become like a berserker animal.
Yeah, it's like, God. Um, what did you think overall of the series? And we're gonna break it down a little bit because I don't think we need to get too in depth because
Right,
it's
right, because it's
basically
pretty short.
13 8-page chapters.
Yeah, and I think that's what kind of threw me off just a little bit because I mean, coming in, I didn't know the full story of the Marvel Presents. So when I was reading, I was like this was the issue. Like this is
Yeah. This is
like,
it.
oh, we're done. Like this is it. Like it couldn't have been um a full issue. Like they could have made what the first three into one issue. We had to break it up.
Mhm.
But I understand it now. But I guess as I was reading, I was kind of just like, it was like, honestly, it was like, you know how sometimes your algorithm on like Instagram or something keeps giving you the like a show like Billions that keeps popping up in my
Have
algorithm
you
right
watched
now,
it?
but
Have you watched that as a
I
feature?
watched it. I watched it when it came. Yeah,
Okay.
but it keeps popping up on like Instagram Shorts or like YouTube Shorts and stuff. Like, so I'm watching episodes like with by these short video Instagram videos. So that's kind of how it felt like a little bit.
Okay.
Like you're getting kind of bits of the story where it's like, when I was reading, I was, I was just like, oh, it's already the next issue. They just talked to each other, and
That
then
was all that happened.
that
A
was
question
it.
you watched on you or read on the digital app, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did it let you like know like, oh, you're at the end of this issue and there's like a demarcation point and then here's the new cover or like that? Or how did it
Yeah,
play out like for you when you read it?
no, it just went. Yeah, it went right to the next issue. So I mean, it's
But
like it
but
was
was there
done,
like a
and then
break? Was there a break in between to let you know, okay, now, or did it just like just swipe to the next page, swipe to the next page, or was there like, okay,
oh no, there was a break. It was like this is
okay,
an actual next issue. Like here's the cover,
okay.
here's the next issue.
It's funny because I read the Weapon X trade that came out in 2009 is one I have, and it doesn't break at all. It's just like it just page to page to page to page, and it's interesting because reading it that way, I actually had a couple times like I had to go back and like start counting pages. Like, where's the demarcation point? Like, I had to like because there wasn't any. It read as like one long book
Mm.
essentially.
And I think that's a shit how it honestly. I mean,
Because
all respect to Mr. Windsor,
yeah,
but I think that's how it should have came out as like one graphic novel.
That's fine. I think it reads great as the graphic novel. I can see why he wanted to do 8 pages because, like, he was trying to challenge himself as an artist and a writer. He was trying to see what can I do in this 8 pages that, encompasses everything in this, and he also said, like, "Dude, I'm just making this up as I go along. I'm letting the art tell the story,"
Yeah.
almost in a weird way. But,
Which
yeah.
I totally understand that. Excuse me, and I understand like the challenge in that, but also like you do that, but then you release it as a full thing. Like you don't.
Which they did, like, almost
Yeah,
immediately
no,
after, like,
yeah. I just.
which is interesting. Well, I was gonna say real quick to that is, like, you gotta think about, put yourself in the mindset of like an 80s/90s comic reader. Like, graphic novels really weren't a thing yet. You know what I mean? Like, now they're
Yeah.
just like
Oh yeah. Yeah.
ubiquitous.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, it was a single issue. It was like, oh my God. And, like, it's like kind of like the 52 thing that we love, where it's like a new issue every week, like
Right. I
this
got you.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
bi-weekly. So it was like you didn't have to wait. It
Bi-weekly.
was like,
Yeah.
yeah, like, and I don't think most people, went to the comic store every week, like some of us do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway.
You're.
But I do see what you're saying. I think if you had read it in trade, you would have been much, much more happier with it.
I think so too. Like when I was just reading, it's like this could have been just a trade.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but again, I understand. I understand now because of the backstory and everything. But again,
Yeah.
while I was reading it,
Oh, what the
wasn't
heck?
privy to the info.
It would have been like reading, was it The Authority and all the Stormwatch stuff without that alien Wildcat
Oh yeah,
crossover?
exactly. Like what the hell? Or yeah, starting. Oh yeah, exactly. It's reading all the Stormwatch and then going right into Authority. Like what?
Wait, what?
And what just happened? Yes, yeah, and also, I mean, as it turned out to be such a pivotal and you know historic kind of story. I again, yeah, I just think just in trade format, it just reads easier. That's how I would
Well,
suggest people read it.
well, we'll save that for the end of the episode,
Yeah,
Josh.
I'll
Alright.
say it again.
Okay.
I'll say it again. I'll repeat
Alright.
myself.
Fair enough. Do you wanna do this, like, a real quick breakdown of, like, what happens, or, how do you wanna
Yeah,
do
yeah. I mean, let's kind of like we'll kind of go through like
the big
just
motions?
in chunks because it'll be just like chapter 1 they talk, chapter 2 they still talk, chapter 3
Chapter 3, a
Wolverine's getting
bunch of
stuck.
people get killed.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just
Which
do
I
it like
will
in
say,
like
real
chunks.
quick real quick, man, some of those panels of him wrecking people are
Yeah.
gorgeous. I'm not into, like, I'm not like, "Oh, freaking
No.
metal," but I was like, "Dude, those are some metal ass panels, man."
Yeah, there's some when we get to it too, like I'll kind of point out which ones I liked
Yeah,
as well. But like also what I really liked about it was it was the killing, but then his face was just not changing. Like
yeah,
it was dead face the whole
yeah,
time. So it
yeah.
was like he was just not in
He wasn't there,
control of
man.
himself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, so like the first kind of chunk of this, it's pre Wolverine. Logan is kind of drinking away like the pain and ready to go, kind of like into the wild. And per the professor hires Dr. Cornelius and Hines for like Experiment X, and there's a big storm coming. Logan gets captured, but it takes you realize it takes more than a stun gun to really stop him, and he's thrown into the tank where Hines and Cornelius kind of realize that his wounds are already healed and his hair has already grown back, and his body seems to be draining more of the adamantium than expected in this kind of experiment. And because of that, they realize like he's actually like a mutant, and not only that, like he has spikes coming out of his hands, so they're just like double score. And like one of the techs, they try to check on Logan, or in a way like he's coerced to check on Logan from the
Yes.
professor. And because of that, the professor's doing like this experiment basically, like where's Logan at, like in his murder head. And he basically gets that tech killed because he's like shuts the security door behind him.
Yeah.
So, and because of that, like, and the professor just loves it. He's like, "All right, we're making progress." And
Excellent. Mr.
yeah,
Burns, excellent.
excellent. And then Cornelius is just like, "F this, I'm out." And like Brian, you said before, the professor's just like, "Yeah, but what if you kind of have a little bit more of a leeway to be a
Evil.
worse person?"
Yeah.
And you can write it down and make experiments from it. And Cornelius is like, oh, you got me. All right,
Uh,
I'm coming
yeah,
back.
I was out, but you had me back in.
You pulled me right back in, just when I thought you made the dumbest decision, or you the stupidest person, or whatever. You totally redeem yourself, and now they just have to program him to be their killing machine. And
Keep in mind, this is the first 4 chapters right here
yeah,
that we
exactly.
just got
I just
through.
went through. I just went through like the first 4 chapters, pretty much, and because of that, like Logan becomes bestial feral, and he attacks Hines, and then turns on the professor, who like, turns on to the professor, who
Yeah, he's like
freaks
he's
out
he
and
tried
tries to have him killed.
yeah, he's like, kill that guy, he tried to attack
Yeah,
me."
so kill him now. And then meanwhile, like Logan's like subconscious visions kind of play out on this huge screen, and
Yeah.
you see like the pain that he's going through, and just kind of what he wants to do to these people. So that's
Yes.
also pretty
Specifically
freaky.
the
That's very like,
professor.
yeah, that's very much like the heavy metal, like 2000, um, like those magazine
The
comics,
heavy metal
like Judge
magazine.
Dredd type of stuff.
Yeah. I will say there was one thing I really loved, and it was one of the opening panels. The professor, like, takes off his glasses because it's like you see the words X experiment or something like that, or I think it's like experiment X or something like that. But the way his glasses land on the page, it highlights the X in
Mhm.
experiment, and but then there's men from experiment. It's like
My
so it's like
goodness!
it was no, it's just
Wow.
cool. It's just a really good paneling where it's
Yeah.
like he goes experiment X, and then he puts the glasses on, and you just see X Men. I just thought it was nice, like Mr. Smith was like, "Yeah."
It's like, fuck yeah, that was amazing what I
That
just
was that
did.
was cool. That was
He
cool.
gives himself like a self high five. Like,
So, I mean, to
yes.
be fair, I totally would give myself a high five for that. Like, "Look what I ate. You see that? I did that." I noticed the words X and men were in experiment.
And yes, I'm gonna get myself a treat now. So, and Brian,
Yeah,
what
go ahead.
kind of happens after that? Let's go into like what's going after that.
Yeah, I mean, like as we said, Logan basically is sent on his first field test where he's set upon by a bunch of wolves because he's covered in sheep's blood. Like, let's see how he does
Right.
against the wolves. And he just stands there, like they're like, he's not attacking them. His adrenaline's not going up. Oh, they bit him. His adrenaline just spiked. Oh, he's massacring those guys. Oh, okay, there we go. The wolves are dead. Great. Let's get some more tests. More
Right.
tests. Do we have
Yes.
any more? He's literally like, do we have more wolves? He's like, no, he killed them all.
He just killed all of them. Yeah.
Well, should we bring him in? No, let him sleep in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Just let him sleep in his gore.
But he's like, it'll toughen him up. It's like, geez, Louise. At that point, he's fitted with that, with a control box, so the professor can literally remote control him like joystick style. Like, let's see if this works. And of course, he totally biffs it like in front of everybody. The professor just does not know how to use it. Uh, and they're just like, it's cool, man. You just didn't know how to use it. No, I knew how to use it. I I designed the damn thing. And like the Cornelius is like, it's cool, bro. Like he's off. You don't have to worry about him. It's like, yeah, right. And literally, I love that he's such a sadist though, to make sure that he's quote unquote Wolverine is or Logan is quote unquote off. He grabs his hot coffee and just like pours it on his face. "Oh, okay,
Right.
yeah, he's off. He's off then. All right, we're good. At that point, though, we get that iconic Wolverine Weapon X helmet, which I mean we've seen on all the covers. It's him with like what would you say? It's like a giant like half dome on his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Kind of when I first had seen it too, it reminded me a little bit of like, oh, that's like kind of like Cyclops, but like
Yeah,
crazier.
yeah.
Because there's that
And so he,
one strip of red, like ruby quartz.
right across
No,
the
but it
visor,
wasn't that.
basically,
Yeah.
and then he's got like a loincloth with a battery pack covering his junk. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, that was like a big issue. Was like how like, we got to put battery packs on him. It's like okay,
Right. Yeah. Because they don't want to make it too heavy. Because then,
yeah.
like, oh, okay, it's kind of a weird detail.
It was they really got hung up on the 10 pounds of that battery pack. I
Right.
was like, "Okay." But anyway, he takes out a bear this time. He's like, "Yes." And I love the process like, "He took out the bear. You know what the next test is, right?" They're like,
Right.
"What?" "Man."
Like
Like,
nature's deadliest animal. Like what the lady's like, oh, it's a Siberian tiger with a stick up. It's no, it's man.
man, and just like, and that's when Cornelius is like, yeah, you know what? I think I may have found the line. I think I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I think this is where I'm going to draw a line. I think, killing man might be where I'm like, which is ironically, you're literally building a killing machine. Like, that is the point of this.
Right.
It is a dude with razor sharp claws with a healing factor covered with adamantium who you are trying to program to like be a mindless killing machine. But
Right.
you're going to draw the line at that test. That's cool.
Right. Where did you think this is eventually going to go? Like they were just going to be like, oh, that's cool. No, let's just put him back out,
It's
and
cool. We did this
look
thing.
cozy.
We just want to make sure it worked. That's all. That's it. But at that point though, Logan gets free and he goes on a rampage, like just full on massacring, wrecking shit, and he cannot be stopped. And basically at
No,
this point, like, yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah, no. I'm just saying, like it was kind of freaky where he's just kind of walking through walls and stuff. Just you see the claws just cutting through everything, and still the dead face throughout the whole time.
Well, there's that great shot of him like literally on a pile of bodies that are like all these soldiers trying to attack him. And he's just I mean, he is just nonstop. That's why, it's like just ripping right through them like they're paper mache. What I mean? Like not
Yeah,
even
and at the time too, they're still trying to keep him like alive. They're arguing like we need to be able to use like live rounds. We're still trying to trank him because he
drinking
did
like
experiments. Yeah, and then like he's just like, I need authorization to kill him. Like, and then the Cornelius is yelling at the professor like, can you just give me uh can I just use live rounds? Just getting no answers. So eventually they're just like, yeah, use live rounds,
well, which
but
is
they're
funny
trying
because
to
like
trank him when his healing factor.
I was gonna say not only that though, it's like when they literally tried to abduct him, the stun gun did not work on him. What
Right.
made you think that this was suddenly gonna work all of a sudden? Like he's now like amped up on adrenaline and whatever crap you pumped into his body. You think like we got a taser, we got a taser. It's
Right.
like
And the adamantium skeleton, so he's even more
oh, with
like more
and the
unstoppable.
claws, and the claws.
Yeah, and the claws.
At this point, though, yeah, the professor's ordering Logan to get killed. He's like, "Okay, this is enough. Let's just experiment over. It was
Yeah.
a good run.
My bad. We're good.
Stop."
Time out. Time
And
out.
he gets his hand cut off, and you're just like, "Oh well, shit." And it
He
literally
eventually
now,
gets both of them cut off.
well, right now at this point in the story, he just gets his hand cut off, and it's now a
Oh,
horror
right,
story.
right.
As him, Hines, and Cornelius are literally on the run, slasher style, from this rampaging monster who's just cutting through everywhere. And they basically hide out in the adamantium reactor, like, we'll hide here. He won't find us. It's not like he can sniff you out or anything like that. Um,
Yeah.
at this at this point, like Professor gives Cornelius a gun, or Cornelius gets a gun, something to that effect. And he's like, "Shoot her!" It's like it's straight out of like Jurassic Park. Shoot
Oh, yeah,
her!
yeah.
Cornelius, I don't want
Shoot.
to. I don't
Right.
want to. Just blows him away, and it doesn't work.
No, of course not, because he is an unstoppable killing machine. Logan, of course, kills him,
Yeah, just
and the professor throws Heinz in the reactor as bait because he talks like, you know what, he needs bait. Are you willing to die for this? She's like, no, I don't want to die. Well, he's like, too bad, and
too
throws
bad.
her throws her the bait to like kill him, and then like the professor thinks that it worked. He's like, oh man, my
My
plan has worked.
genius. My
Yeah,
genius.
that's kind of the constant thing too with him. Like he's constantly
Touting his own
uh
intelligence.
touting his own intelligence while being inept at doing what he's doing,
Well,
which
literally,
is
like you
kind of
said,
a
from the
fun
from
dichotomy.
trying to troll Logan to like tripping and falling and having doctors laugh at him and all that.
Right.
Like, I do love that he's like I do love that point. He's like, "Are you willing to die for this?" No,
No.
too
Yeah.
bad.
No. Yeah. Too bad. Well, I guess you are. And then like so the professor thinks he killed Logan with the reactor, but the government, like the government he's been talking to, takes over the reactor, and instead Logan kills the gloating professor, like gloating. And I really like that panel where Logan is just fully like burned and like on fire, and he's just like,
Yeah.
what's up, dude?
Yo, bro.
Time for the 3 claw special.
And that
And
brings us all into the last issue. He did
yeah,
it, right? Right?
and
He's free. He killed
right,
everyone, right? Right?
he fights a Siberian tiger
Yeah, he does that
with
Siberian tiger they mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but then you see that the professor and the crew are watching it. It kind of turns out this was all a simulation. Like he got
Yay.
matrixed, and
He totally got matrixed. Absolutely got
yeah.
matrixed.
But then also, surprise to the surprise, Logan has actually escaped. In you know what? He's busting into their office right now
Yeah. I love that.
and
It's a
killing her.
little weird. It's not a hat on a hat. What is it? It's like it is like, it's like surprise, surprise again. You're like, wait,
Right.
what?
So a
You're
little bit
first
of
you're like, oh,
Inception, a little bit.
yeah, it was. It's exactly what it was. It's like, oh, just kidding. We simulated the whole time. What's that breaking through the door? It's him.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
What? Curse this inevitable situation that's just happening.
Yeah, I do love though that it's like, that was a good run, guys. It was like it kind of ends with them just like, oh,
Yeah.
fudge. Which it honestly it ends on that, but then there's like a brief interlude. When it's called interlude, it's actually the last chapter of the whole thing, but it's called interlude, and it's basically almost like an epilogue where you hear Hines and Dr. Cornelius like debating the morality of this whole thing. And Hines is just like, I don't want to do this anymore. Why are we doing this? This is kind of effed up. And noticeably absent from that entire conversation is Professor. And the last scene you get in this whole thing is not decapitating, but a severed hand. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it leaves you with, I think, did Wolverine come through and cut off the hand like he did in the simulation earlier? Is he alive? Is he not alive? What happened? You know what I mean? So it's kind of left with a little bit of ambiguity right there. If all things being equal, like that was the end of it, where would you land on that kind of like sentiment, Josh?
Of like for the
Like what was your
what
take on
happened to
the
the
end of it?
professor? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. What was
I think it's it to cut off his hand. Like he made the simulation into life because I mean also like I think that's how a lot of people interpret it as well.
do you think he
A
killed?
lot
Like,
of
do you
the
think
other
he
stories.
Well, I think it's funny, up until a certain point, though, it was like for me, I assumed he was dead because you have that conversation, and at no point do you see, any of,
Mm,
the professor's dialogue bubbles in that, you just see the dead hand. So I was of the mindset like, "Oh, yeah, he probably died," or Wolverine killed him because in his visions, like, in that subconscious visions, you see him, like, wreck that dude. He is
right.
like, not having it." Um, Obviously, there's because Marvel's gotta Marvel, we can't let any loose ends be a loose end. We've got to,
Yeah.
tie everything up. Um, as we had mentioned, who was on the phone? It's probably It was Romulus. What did happen to the professor? Did you get a chance to read any of the sort of supplemental stuff that go along with this?
No, I didn't. I
You're not
stuck to
missing
my guns with this one. Yeah, exactly. I kind of felt like I wasn't really
much.
missing too much.
You're not. So there is a sort of sequel follow-up to this. It's like 3 issues, in the actual Wolverine ongoing book at the time. Larry Hama was doing the story, Mark Silvestri was doing the art, and it picks up the story, was printed 9 months after Weapon X. So it was pretty quickly after Weapon X ended in Marvel Comics Presents, they were already doing a sequel for it, and it's literally called the sequel to or the Weapon X sequel or whatever. Yeah, Return of Weapon X, I think is what it's called. It was
Yeah.
issues 48 through 50. Um, yeah, and you find out, yeah, that the professor did live and all he got was his hand cut off and he's got a little hook hand, you know, uh,
Right.
very
That's kind of
Buster Blue style, Never thought he missed a
yeah.
hand so much.
He got it in the army. The that's how I kind of had it in my head only because I saw that professor character,
Yeah.
in other iterations of the story with the hook hand or with the missing hand.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I like that run of Wolverine. I really like Larry Hama. He's the kind of main writer on GI Joe. I do love
I
his,
was about to say, yeah, he's a
eh,
you like he's GI Joe guy, and I
Joe
like
guy.
Mark Silvestri. I like his art.
Yeah, and so it's totally fine. Like I don't think it's required reading, but if you want to, it just kind of fills out some of that more of that stuff. But I don't think you know you can read this book by itself and not have to read any of that supplemental stuff. If that
Yeah,
makes any sense. I
and
don't think
you
you need
kind
to
of
go
get
back
it
to it.
from other
Mhm.
forms of the media too. So it's just you kind of get a generalization of it. But I really liked kind of what Grant Morrison did down the line with his new X-Men run because that kind of made you rethink about what Weapon X is, and he kind of put the a number to the X. So it was like Weapon X isn't a letter, but it's like really the number 10, and like
The
Logan
numeral. Oh, the numeral 10 Roman.
numeral 10. Yeah, yeah. And Logan
Yeah,
is like part of the weapons plus programming. Like it was a Phantom X was weapon 8
13
or
or
7 or
was it
13 or one of
was
those.
it no, it was weapon 12?
No, he's one of
Was it
those.
weapon 8
He's
or
another
oh,
weapon.
yeah. Well,
And
the
like
first weapon. Who's the first weapon?
was the everybody's favorite Captain America, which I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
it makes sense because everything it's like them trying to remake the Super Soldier program.
Yeah. Sorry, you're not gonna remake that. No attempt has worked.
No, it
Every
really hasn't. Like what has really worked, would you say?
the closest
The
would be
Super Soldier
Wolverine, to be
program.
honest. I mean, the closest would be Wolverine, and even that didn't work because he didn't end up being like, yeah, he worked for the
Right.
Canadian government as like Weapon X for a little bit, as we saw in Hulk, but like they could never control him. But then again, to be fair, because do they ever control Captain America? He's like,
No, that's true.
hey,
Yeah, yeah.
he's like, no, I believe in America, not the government. He's always been like that.
America. And then or
Yeah.
maybe Bucky, like Winter Soldier.
But that
That's
was, I
close.
guess you're right. Yeah. But even he still he was
Yeah.
eventually like an assassin for hire after a while. I mean, or
Yeah.
whoever owned him at the time. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good point. It's a really good point. I haven't, I'd have to look through all the Weapon Plus characters that have come out and like really see if it,
All right.
but it basically never
Maverick,
works.
Sabretooth,
Well,
Deadpool.
they were part of Department H. I guess they were part of
Yeah.
that program, Weapon X program, but they never like were a Weapon X per se. Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I really did like that Weapon Plus stuff that Grant Morrison did. I thought it was a great twist on it when you're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's
Of
Weapon
course, like when
10.
you think of that, yeah. It's like
Yeah.
it was one of those like it's been there the whole time. You're like,
Yes.
of course.
I love that kind of stuff. And, I mean, even
Yeah.
kind of going what you're saying with Bucky, when it was revealed that he was the Winter Soldier, because like Bucky being dead was one of like the hallmarks of like dead characters. Like same with Jason
Right.
Todd, wait, whoops, Gwen Stacy, whoops, Ben Parker,
Oh,
whoops.
Gwen Stacy still.
Yeah, but no, I mean they
That's
pretty much are
Ben
like right.
too.
Well, no, because what I'm referring to is the fact that like Gwen Stacy now Spider Gwen, she exists like Ghost
And she's
Spider, like
kind of
she's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and there's that whole thing. Ben Parker obviously brought him back for like was it the Ultimate Universe 1610 or whatever the heck the 61
That
says
kind
there.
of doesn't count. I don't know if that one counts.
Fine, I'll let that one slide. But the other one though is like Bruce Wayne's parents and Jor-El. Like they brought back
Yeah.
Jor-El for a while. Same with
Ugh.
and
Yeah.
they brought back Bruce's dad, and he's like the Dark Batman from the Flashpoint universe. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like death doesn't mean anything. So if you're gonna bring back a character, and while we're off topic at this point, like I think the best version of that was always the Bucky, how they made Bucky work.
Yeah. No,
And
because it made sense. It wasn't
yeah.
just like
Well,
an
I
Elseworld type thing or a multiverse thing.
or I punched reality so hard I brought Jason Todd back to life.
Yeah, man, that was amazing. What are you talking about? I punched it so hard that Green Lantern came back, or not Green Arrow came back to life too.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing was with that, it was like the answer was right there. The Lazarus pit, like the Lazarus
Yeah.
pit. Wow, we're way off topic. Anyway, we'll have to look into those we'll have to look into the Weapon Plus stuff.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, we should. You know what? Maybe we'll do Winter Soldier soon. Actually,
Yeah, or also, it was a fun book too. It came out mid '90s or something. That Maverick book, that Maverick
I remember, but
solo.
Jim Chung, yeah, Jim Chung did
Yeah,
the artwork for you. Yeah, yeah,
that
good
was
book.
good. I really like that one. And just the
That's
backstory.
gonna be a pain in the ass to find.
Yeah, I used to have. I had the first issue of it like a way long time ago. Brian, with Weapon X and their recommendation was making Logan into a killing machine. What is your recommendation of this book?
You know what? If you're a Wolverine fan, you got to pick it up. It is gorgeous. It's a must buy, a must own, a must read. It is a perfect example of why comic books are the best. It was a classic when it came out. It's a classic today. Like Barry Windsor Smith's art and his storytelling, it makes me sad he has not done more, because he kind of just drops off the map for like 10 years. Then, oh, here's a 300-page graphic novel I've been working on for the last 15 years, and I'm back to retirement again. It's like,
It's funny.
dude,
That's so British. That's not even like
yeah,
surprising.
it really is he's a master craftsman, and you see it at play here. I do think, to your point, Josh, I'm sure you'll bring it up. Apparently you need to read it in trade form and not digitally. But what do you
Yeah.
think, Josh?
No, I do recommend it if you're looking for just more stuff about Wolverine, it's definitely like a good place to even start.
Hmm.
And I think it is pivotal. The art is really great. The storytelling is really great, but I do think you should pick it up as a trade. I wouldn't go, um, no, you can go digitally like I did, but just understand,
It flows.
it still works as a trade. So it
It
just
flows
flows
really
better.
well in. It flows really well in book form.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, I had trouble realizing, and only when I really knew what I was looking for, I'm like, oh, I can see where the break point was. But like, if you read in just one, it flows right on through really, really well. To the point where when the interlude comes up at the end, it almost like feels very disjointed from the rest of the book until you realize what's kind of going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with
Awesome.
if fans did like that, what would you recommend as similar reading, Josh?
I think if you're really looking for more of Wolverine's kind of backstory, I do think you need to read Origin, not
Mhm,
necessarily Origin 2 in the series
mhm.
Wolverine Origins, but I did like Origin. I liked
Paul
that
Jenkins and, the Andy was it
Adam
Adam Kubert on.
Andy or Adam McKay,
Adam
like
did
one of
Andy I
those.
think Adam did 1, and then Andy did 2, because Kieran Gillian did Origins
Yeah.
2. But the Kubert brothers were involved
Whoever
in both.
does, McKay. Sorry, I said McKay. Sorry, Kubert. But whoever does the painting, like one of them does like a painting thing because they did like
Yeah, I think it
1602
was
the
Adam. I think it
same
was
way.
Adam did
Is
I think
Adam?
Adam
Yeah,
did at Origin. And also, he had done Wolverine for a very long run with Larry Hama, speaking of my
yeah.
boy.
And around this time, one of them was doing Ultimate X Men as well. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like I'm sorry, I can never get Adam or Andy correct. So I apologize
Well,
for that. But
Adam did a lot of the Wolverine stuff in the '90s, and Andy did a lot of the X-Men stuff at the time in the '90s. So,
hmm,
that helps. I would say that
their
there's a little
art's
bit
just so
more of.
similar, though. It's hard for me to look.
And you call yourself a comics
I know,
fan.
right? I know.
But I think
I
no, I'm not even gonna say anymore. I'm being such an
yeah.
ass.
Yeah, how about you
Uh,
stop doing that?
no, I can't.
Yeah, no.
It's the scorpion and the fox. I just can't. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, yeah, no. We're all used to it.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
know, unfortunately.
I think read Origin, don't really need to read Origin 2 or definitely not the series Wolverine Origins. The only thing from the series Wolverine Origins I think is worth like plucking out of
Mhm.
is I think maybe with the Miramusa blade is that's where that came from, right? And that's
I
like
don't think it came from there, but it was used
mhm,
heavily there. I think it's used
yeah.
also in I wanna say it's used in the Wolverine Kitty Pryde miniseries, but, I could be wrong. It's been forever. Look at that, me
That's
forgetting.
just a big part of his origin or his
Yeah,
story.
yeah. I would say, though, stay away from the Jeff Loeb run of Wolverine, the Romulus stuff, but feel free to read the Larry Hama stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
The art is beautiful.
this is something I have an issue with Jeff Loeb. A lot of his stuff gets hyped up a lot,
Yeah.
and sounds good on paper when it starts, and then it gets into it. You're like,
What do we
because
do?
it
What are
was
we doing here?
yeah, because this whole series was hyped up as like this is the ultimate Wolverine versus Sabretooth story. This is what
It was pretty.
this is the end all and be all of
Yeah.
them two fighting like the biggest battle, and it turned out you're like okay, um
That was it.
you sure this is it, because I can think of a couple other ones that were better than this,
Yeah.
but that was just my opinion
Personal
of it.
preference.
So I wasn't
Okay.
a big fan of it.
No, I don't think anybody really was, to be honest. It's not like it's held in wide regard, like I said. But what is held in wide regard, if you're looking for something similar, any of the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff of this time, like in the '80s, like
Frank
for
Miller did
instance,
Daredevil.
I know, right? Who would have thought it? And which by extension, his Wolverine miniseries that he did with Chris Claremont would be another thing I would also check out. And speaking of Frank Miller and Daredevil, I personally, as Josh actually was like before the show was like, "Why did you recommend this book?" I would say the '80s Ninja Turtles books actually, for some reason, really had a similar vibe. It has that very like, um, this book's art style really reminded me of that sort of like indie adult comic of the '80s feel to it. It just vibed with me
Mhm.
that way. I have no other way to describe it other than, like, if you like this book, you probably would like the adult nature of those '80s Ninja Turtles books, which we've talked about before in the past.
And I think too, like the art style, the heavy inks,
Yeah,
um,
the very
lends
thick
itself to
lines.
it. Yeah, the thick lines, because that's Frank Miller does that too. It's the
Uh-huh,
thick
uh-huh.
inks and stuff is
It's very
very
cinematic
reminiscent of
too.
this one.
Yeah, yeah. Other
What's
things.
another one that you're saying? I was just
Oh,
saying, what are those other ones like Wolverine, Kitty Pryde, right?
yeah, Wolverine Cutie Pie, if you're looking for more Wolverine stuff that's, like, kind of adult and, like, kind of, exploring his past and all that, but also, his Conan stuff, Barry Windsor Smith's Conan stuff.
Uh-huh.
My kid, for some reason, for some reason, it's my fault, he's on a huge Conan kick right now, like, we
Your
just watched.
kid is your 7-year-old son is big into Conan?
Yes, the Barbarian,
Wow. All right.
Not Conan
Yeah,
O'Brien,
yeah.
but Conan the Barbarian. Yeah, we, watched, Conan the Destroyer last night, and he loved the hell out of it,
Is that what
and,
the is that the Arnold one, right?
yeah, the Arnold one with Grace Jones
Oh,
and, Wilt Chamberlain and
uh,
all that.
yeah, that's is that the first or the second one?
Second one, which is not as,
Second one.
well
Yeah.
received, but I knew it was gonna be it's rated PG, and I know there's, like, only a couple of
Darth Vader's
decapitations,
in
I'm
it.
like, yeah, well, that's the first one, that's Conan the
Oh,
Barbarian.
that's the first one. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. See, I get them mixed up.
Well, we just ordered that on Blu-ray, so we're getting that.
My goodness.
Yeah. I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna be as kid friendly as the first or the second one was.
You're gonna wake up and he's gonna start saying that monologue of
Whoa. To
the,
see the
the
women, yeah, so what is it, it's, just see your enemies driven before you, hear the lamentations
right,
of their women.
right, exactly. He's like, he's gonna do that as like a
What
book
would you
report. And
recommend,
you're gonna get
Jonathan?
sent home with
Why
like
am
a
I
note.
I'm gonna get, like, CPS called me, "You let your kid watch Conan the Destroyer?"
Destroyer. Yeah, you're gonna like a note from school. Like he keeps saying the lamenting of like woman, like or whatever. It's like we need to have a little talk with the
Talk a
teacher
little
and
talk,
the
yeah,
parents.
yeah.
One of my things that I think I recommend is what really kind of got this vibe of Weapon X and I really liked was the when the first time they did Ultimate X-Men, which is their
Oh,
early 2000s.
yeah, there was, like, Hubert and Mark Millar, right?
That's what we're talking. Yeah, and
Yeah.
volume 2 of the trades is when
Return
they
to Weapon
delved.
X.
Yeah, it's when they delved into like Wolverine's some of his
Yeah,
history, but also just the Weapon X program, and it was kind of
yeah.
cool because they had like it was more mutants involved that you didn't aren't normally involved with Weapon X, like
Like
Juggernaut and Rogue
Nightcrawler.
and Nightcrawler was really good, and so and they kidnap the X-Men. They make the X-Men part of the Weapon X program, and there's some cool moment. It's like mixed in with because like Weapon X is a part of Shield in a way, and like what it was also you kind of get like the origin of like Nick Fury before he became the head of Shield, and you have some cool kind of moments. Like there's like this moment beginning of an issue where Nick Fury is basically James Bond, which was pretty
Mm,
cool. And you have a lot
yeah.
of the Mark Miller kind of tropes of just him doing cool action stuff with like a support team in the background. And it was a cool moment where Colossus stops a running train dead in
Uh-huh.
its tracks. Pun intended, and then also like because you have the whole thing of just like what is just because I'm strong doesn't mean I can stop. I'm invulnerable like that or something. It's just like really good
Well,
Weapon X
I
stuff.
I was gonna say, I remember, like, I think, like, there's, like, a scene where, like, Nightcrawler makes an escape on a snowmobile, and I remember, like, being really cool, like,
Yeah,
I just remember, like, the art really complimented that, the storytelling in that book,
it
if I
was really good.
recall.
Like yeah, his escape, like just trying, and then I like the just the end with Stryker because Stryker's the whole
Yeah.
bad guy of this, and uh Nightcrawler looking at a plane. He's still like, I bet you think you could get up there now, couldn't you? We've tested you about like that stuff, but not gonna let you ever do that again or something like that. It was just like kind of like despair, and then you have the Sabretooth fighting Wolverine. Like all that's happening, like Wolverine's trying to get back to save him, and like say have Sabretooth fighting Wolverine. And in that one, Sabretooth has 4 claws on each hand. Well, kind of 4 claws. Like one was like a not finished
Extreme.
type of thing.
Extreme.
But it was like the art was really fun.
Yeah.
It was a great follow up to the volume 1 of
The Tomorrow People, yeah.
Ultimate X-Men. Yeah. It was just really it
Yeah.
was a really fun book. I liked it.
I'm gonna have to reread that stuff because it was fun from what I remember. It's just been I probably have not read it since it was in singles. I have like the
Yeah.
trades. I just haven't read them since. But I remember it definitely was like, oh, this is good. This is good
Yeah, even
good comics.
yeah, exactly. It was just fun, really fun. Like again, Mark Miller can do cinematic work. Like
Yeah,
his books are movies and like that. And then when they had the X-Men fighting the Ultimates, it's one of my favorite books. Like, it
yeah.
brought me back into comics.
What was that Ultimate War? Wasn't it? Wasn't that one?
Yeah,
Ultimate
Ultimate
War.
War.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
there's a
It's
lot
Chris
of the
Michello doing the
spreads
art.
and that. A
Well, it's
lot of
funny
spreads
as
and
we
that stuff was so good.
well, I think we said it before, and I mean this with all the good and the bad that comes along with it. But Mark Millar is the Michael Bay of comic books.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just look, Michael Bay, like love him or hate him, it's like you can't die. He makes a spectacle, and like I said, I may not like all of his movies, but some of them are. I remember, for example, like, did you ever see Pain and Gain?
Yeah, yeah. Painting Game's great.
I remember like my buddy and I going into that movie, like ready to clown that movie. And I remember it was at the ArcLight. We all both had a beer because you could drink in the theater. And he turns to me, he's like, "Dude, are you having as good a time as I am?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm having a blast." Like, this movie is awesome. I'm gonna need another beer. And he ran out, grabbed beer, and came back in. Like I was like,
I mean, yeah, but you also get like movies like Bad Boys 2, which Bad Boys 2 is a fun action movie. That's just
yeah,
great.
yeah. And then there's Transformers 4, or 2, or 3.
Or 2 or 3. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, speaking of good comics, Josh, what was your weekly recommendation this week?
Yeah, I know. Like, so for my weekly recommendation, since our last episode on Annihilation, which was a fun episode, if you haven't listened to it, please go listen to it because we break down one of my favorite stories, and because of that, I still had to ride that cosmic Marvel
Wave.
wave, right? Annihilation
Annihilation
wave.
Wave? You had to ride that Annihilation Wave a little
Uh,
bit longer?
right. So I kept reading the Nova series that kind of followed that, which again we talked about it. We had one of my favorite moments where he's arguing with Tony Stark, and then just leading into the next Annihilation storyline, which is
Conquest?
Conquest and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's yeah.
Nice.
What
Nice.
about you, Brian?
We're trying to keep up with everything. The 2 books, again, I recommend that are weeklies. I'm gonna keep touting this as, number 1 is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. This is the sequel called Rite of Spring. Little Samantha Strong is, she now lives in the age of the internet, and guess what? All those little secrets from the '80s are starting to come around. It's really excellent. I also love that DC's been teasing her to be in TCKO as like one of the people in DCKO. It's kind of hilarious
Hmm.
because it's an anthropomorphic Berenstain Bear, for lack of a better word. Like, okay,
That's what
you're
that
gonna
was.
go,
That's what that image was. Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
Samantha
because I saw
Strong, yeah.
I saw the promo image. It had like Homelander in it
Yeah, yeah,
too.
Homelander and like Sub Zero and Samantha
Right.
Strong. I'm like, wait, what? I thought it was cute. So we're like, no, it's real. I'm like, dude, there's no way that's real.
Mm-mm.
And if it is, okay, DC, you had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. But the other book that I think people should check out. There's a book called Artificial. It's by this Barcelonian artist writer. Her name is Maria Levette. She's done a couple of books here and there, and they're usually like kind of like these. I don't want to say erotic fiction, but they're like kind of an exploration of like technology and for lack of better, sex and love and eroticism. And in this one, this story recently that she's doing is basically, what if sex bots were like a real thing and really customizable, and like you can just get everything you want, like the perfect date, the perfect thing, but of course you've got to pay to get all the upgrades. Like, oh, you want this date to go further, well, you've got to pay for the upgrade. And what if one of these sex bots basically goes Terminator on her, like completely, its wiring gets scrambled, it's like now becomes obsessed with her, and it's like, it's scary AF, and it's really good. And she does all, like I said, she writes and draws. Her art is like very reminiscent of like Japanese meets like Euro comics. So it's only the 3rd issue, and there's only 4, but if you get a chance, check it out. Artificial, really fun book. Well, not fun, but oof, really good book.
Interesting. Interesting. Well,
Yeah, I think the tagline is 9.5 weeks meets the Terminator, which you're like, okay.
okay. All right. That's two
And
things you didn't think would go together.
exactly. Well, it's like the Berenstain Bears meets Hannibal. That's the other book, you know.
Yeah, you like these weird combinations.
Yeah, I like, yeah. What can I say? On that note,
Yeah, I think that is the end of our episode. Thank you everybody for listening. Please make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to this on, and hit us up on Instagram and Blue Sky. It's We Got Issues and We Got Issues Cast, and with the BComp, right, on Blue Sky.
Yep. Yep. Eventually I'll do an Instagram. I think I have one, but I just don't know how to use it because I don't believe in Meta,
Gotcha.
but whatever.
Meta believes in you.
They do. They track me down. I was gonna say real quick. I had to create an account for Nerdist once to like because I had to like upload a video. So I'm like, I just created it real quick, did not give them any information. And within 5 minutes, I got a list of like, hey, do you know all these people? I'm like, they were like, oh well, those are like close contacts. I'm like, how did you
Wow.
guys know?
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm definitely not happy about that. But anyway, um, if you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars and recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like this episode, please rate us 5 stars and recommend us to your friends. As Josh said,
And
we're
if
on.
you didn't like this, screw you. You know,
There you go.
we're trying
Are you
hard. We're
listening?
doing our
Why are
best.
you? Why are you here? Tell
Yeah,
me I'm
exactly.
trying.
You made it this far and you still don't like this. You know what? Screw
But
you. We're trying our best.
we're doing our best with just the two of us. But yeah, we're on Spotify, Amazon Music, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on
YouTube.
SoundCloud, we're on YouTube. So share the info. Listen to us on each one. We'll give us a view on each one. We'd love it, or click on each one. If there's anything you want us to chat about, please let us know.
We're
Josh, what
always
are we doing
open
for
to
them?
suggestions. Well, we're always open to suggestions and open
Absolutely, we
to
are.
like you said, like this was a suggestion from your wife. I mean, we might do something down the line as well. I'm getting other suggestions from people too, like discussion about Ghost Rider, which is an interesting character to kind of
Ooh,
talk about.
Danny Ketch or Giant Blaze?
He's a Johnny Blaze fan, so we'll see how we can make that work.
See, I'm a
Uh,
Danny Ketch. It's that Kyle Rayner in me, that 90s,
and I
vibe.
was about to say, yeah, it's like you just like the second generation.
Or third in some cases.
Yeah, in most cases, yeah, but it just let us know and we'll do our best to get to it for sure. And with that though, I think Brian, you were starting to say our next episode is actually we're not going to cover anything. We're just going to talk about the best and the worst in um how this year went in both comics and just in general,
Yeah.
comic book news and
We have
everything.
2025 and what we're looking for 2026. So it's like end of the year kind of
Well,
thing.
just yeah, I know. It's like it's going to start the wave of the end of the year podcast stuff, like best of the worst, worst of the best, and we're just going to have like a little conversations and stuff. So if you have a question or a topic you kind of want us to talk about in that episode, let us know. We can
Yeah.
touch
Josh
on
is
it like
insisting that I do
and stuff.
not write a script for this episode coming up.
Exactly. We're just gonna I honestly I don't we're not gonna be doing any full research. We're just gonna have a fun conversation about the year and just what we're looking forward to next year.
Sounds good to me, man.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for everybody who's listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Peace.